Today's featured piece is Sibylle Peretti's Great Dismal Swamp. This tile mural combines photography and drawing with handmade glass tiles. The tile surfaces are also enriched through engraving, mirroring, and slumping. The Great Dismal Swamp is imagined here in a dreamlike manner, serving as a refuge for creatures. The pearls, which are symbols of innocence, underscore the fragility of the coastal swampland ecosystem. If you enjoy programming such as this, we encourage you to become a member of the Barrie Art Museum. We'd love to have you. Welcome to the yoga portion of Art Inspired Yoga. Sibylle Peretti's piece is right here on the wall, right behind me. When you're ready, have a seat on your mat. We're going to start out in wide-legged child pose. Bring your big toes to touch, let your knees go as wide as your mat, and send your hips back towards your heels. Arms can extend out in front of you. Strive to have your forehead on the mat. If this is not available to you today, feel free to make a fist pillow, or you can use a block or place a pillow under your forehead to bring the ground up to you. Take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth, creating new space. Get grounded and centered in this child pose as we open up to a flow full of hip openers and balance poses. We're doing hip openers to harken back to the water seen at the Great Dismal Swamp. Water represents our emotions, and our emotions are stored in our hips. We have balance poses as well to help us remind ourselves to go with the flow. Keep your breaths deep and controlled and slow. Finding your centering and grounding, reminding yourself to go at your own pace. Connect your breath to movement as we go throughout this yoga class. Walk your hands back towards your knees, gently push up. Align your wrists underneath your shoulders, knees stacked under your hips. Feel free to make fists if that feels better on your wrists. We're going to start out with a nice cow pose, shining our heart forward. Exhale, cat, warming up our spine here. Inhale again to cow. Drop your belly down. Exhale, tuck your pelvis bone down. Bring your chin to your chest for cat. And one more luxurious cow here. And exhale to cat. If you had fists, undo them, let your palms come down flat. Take some organic movement now, doing some rolls, some circles to the left side. See what feels right in your body. Really playing on that theme of water, right? Water is allowed to flow wherever it may go. Let your moves be organic as well. Find some stillness now. Lift your right knee up. We're doing some slow, controlled hip circles. A nice way to loosen up our hip. You can keep your foot flexed or pointed. Make sure you balance out your hip circles and go the other direction now. You want to do your best to keep as still as possible on your top so that it's really more your hips moving. Find some stillness, elongate your right leg out. Exhale, bring your right knee to your nose and step your right foot through. You're here now in a low runner's lunge. You can rest your torso on your leg. When you bend strongly into your front right knee, you'll feel a nice stretch in your left hip flexor. Keep breathing. See where you may be holding on and release. Lift up now to low crescent lunge. Let your hands rest on your quad. You're going to bring your left foot over to the side. Now let your right hand open up your hip here. We have a tendency to hunch over, open through your chest. Gently pushing your right leg open so you feel more of that hip opener now. Nice tall posture here. Lower your left arm for support. Reach your right arm over. Feeling a nice stretch from your right fingertips all the way to your right toes. Come back for a counter stretch now. Your right hand can rest in front of your thigh or at your hip or even behind. Just make sure not to rest on your knee joint. Feeling a nice stretch along our side bodies here. Exhale, walk your hands back down to the mat, meeting in half split. So these gentle flowing motions, right, alternating between a foot flexed and a foot pointed. Don't worry so much about having to be so flat-backed here. You can hunch over a little bit. Just let yourself be soft on top, basically. Keep breathing. Let your foot be flexed. Now carefully bend through your right knee. Back to our original runner's lunge. Inhale. And exhale. Gently bring your right foot back. And come back to child's pose again. Resetting for our left side. I like to shark fin my arms here sometimes in child's pose. You can keep your arms extended, or you can shark fin like me. Resetting yourself again through child's pose. As we're here in child's pose, see how your body feels different from the first time we were here. As we open up our hips more, sometimes emotions may come to surface, or they may not. And that's okay. Either way is just fine. Walk your hands back towards your knees. Gently push up again. Stack your wrists under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Warming up our spine further with a few cat-cows here. As we go on our cat-cow, see if you can drop your belly further, open your chest up more. And on the cat part, see if you can arch your back up even more. Keep breathing. Again, yoga gives us the opportunity to explore how we're feeling, explore how our body responds. Again, same thing we did on the other side, doing some organic movement here, finding some circles. One side to the other is going to feel different. That's completely natural and normal. So just see how it feels. Start your hip circles with your left knee now. The hips are a very sensitive joint, so as you move through, move with control and presence. Don't worry so much about speed, but really savor in the sensation of what this feels like. Keep breathing. Elongate your left leg. Exhale, bring your left knee towards your nose and step your left foot through your hands, reaching again in this low runner's lunge. You'll feel a nice stretch in your right hip flexor. Breathing in and out. Rise up to low crescent lunge. You're going to pivot towards the wide side of your mat now, so your right leg's going to go back. Using your left hand to further push out your left leg. Again, with that hunching sensation, keep your chest open and tall, shoulders back. Spine is nice and pulled up. See how this feels. You might have to wiggle out a bit more. You might want to bend further into your left knee. Whatever feels best for you to open the hip and release more. Lower your right hand down. Let your left hand come over. A nice side body stretch here. Even with this side stretch, we have a tendency to face down. Make sure that your chest is broadened and opened here. Exhale, rise back up. Stretch on the other side now. Again, your hand placement can be behind you at your hip, just not at your knee joint. We always want to be mindful of protecting our joints. Walk your hands down to the mat, turn back to original orientation, meeting in half split. Same thing, feel free to not be so rigid, and you can have a slight bend in your back, that's fine. Keep your foot flexed. Inhale. Sending oxygen to our hamstrings. We especially feel that in these half splits. Rebend through your left knee, plant your hands, coming back to our runner's lunge. And exhale, bring your left knee to meet your right. Tuck your toes under. Lift your hips up now for our first down dog of class. With our first down dog, pedal out your down dog, bend your knees, readjust, make sure you're planted firmly through your palms. You want to strive to have your chest meet the tops of your quads. If your heels don't quite meet the mat, that's okay. You can bend your knees deeply here and lengthen out. Lift on your heels, bend your knees, straighten out. Yeah, adjust yourself, see what feels good. Play with this, eventually finding some stillness here. Lift on your heels, bend your knees, Straighten, and you're going to ripple forward to high plank. A lot of times it's shifting to feel what feels right. We're wanting to channel into that flow now. From your high plank, ripple up, down dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, and ripple forward to high plank, yeah? Lower your knees gently down now, untuck your toes. Keep your elbows in close as you lower down with control to the mat. Let your arms be by your side, big toes come to touch. Engage your legs and core and lift up to Sphinx pose. Let your forearms be your support here, just gently warming up our back further. This might feel a little sensitive on your lower back. If so, do not go as high. Or if you want to further the stretch into your lower back, you can raise up higher, pushing through your palms, or stay on your forearms. Lower back down. Bring your big toes to touch, engage through your lower body, lift up for Sphinx, or push up even further. Try an upward dog if that feels good for you. Our knees are off the ground with upward dog, pushing through the fronts of our feet. Our wrists are stacked over under our shoulders. Exhale, come back to down dog. We're going to start our flow portion of the class now. Lift your right leg up. Open up your right hip there. Re-square your hips. Exhale, right knee to nose. Step your right foot through. Keep your left foot up. Lift up to high crescent lunge. So our left heel is up in the air still. Really strong bend through our right foot. Feel free to bring your hands down to your hips if you like, or keep them overhead. Just make sure your shoulders are relaxed away from your ears. Hands can also be at your heart center. We're going to do a few lunges here, building some strength and heat. Drop your back knee down. Nice. Keep breathing. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, plant them back on the ground. And take a slight bend in your left knee. Keep high on the left heel, coming down to pyramid pose. Essentially, it's a stretch. It's like almost like a forward fold with our legs spread. Feel free to keep your heel up or extend it down, whatever feels best for you. Bend your left leg. Walk up to meet your right in forward fold. You can grab opposite elbows here. Keep a slight bend in your knees. Shift your weight to the balls of your feet. Nod your head yes. And just relax here. Release your arms here, painting rainbows side to side on your mat. Again, having that nice bend in your knees. Find some stillness here. Take a deeper bend in your knees now and roll up one vertebra at a time, letting your arms just grace up. Hands at heart center. Inhale, arms extended, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift with a flat back here. Exhale, plant your palms. Step back to high plank. Shift your hips to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg comes up. Stack your hips on the left side now. Re-square your hips, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee to nose. Step your left foot through. Keep your right heel lifted. Inhale, rise up. High crescent lunge on the left side. Same thing, hands can be at your hips or heart center. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, rise up. Doing a few lunges, just one more. You got it. Nice balance, everyone. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, plant your palms down. Now let your right foot come closer to your left. Straighten your left leg out as much as possible. Keep your right heel lifted, or you can lower down. It's called pyramid pose because it's like our legs look like a triangle or pyramid, right? Fold over. Playing with this pose, lifting your heel if that feels best. You can keep a slight bend in your knee as well. Bend your right foot, meet your left, and come back to that nice forward fold. Again, check in with your body. Release any tension you're holding, maybe in your jaw, your forehead. Make sure your knees are bent. Really enjoying this release in our lower back. Find some stillness in the middle again. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms down and rise up. Hands extended, mountain pose. Bring your hands to heart center. We're going to do a few traditional sun A's here. Inhale, arms overhead, extended mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms. Step back to high plank. Feel free to drop your knees here or keep your knees lifted. Chaturanga, keeping our elbows in close to our body. You can do your upward facing dog or your Sphinx pose like we did earlier. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees. Step, hop, float to the front of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let your arms rise up. Extended mountain pose, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms. Step back to high plank. Shift forward. Chaturanga, elbows in close to our body. Coming up to upward facing dog or Sphinx, your choice. Exhale to downward facing dog. Very nice. Inhale, heels up, bend your knees. Walk to the front of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms overhead, mountain pose. Add a slight back bend if you like. And hands at heart center. Inhale, arms extended, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms on the mat. Jump back to plank if you want to try something new. Go through your vinyasa. Eventually meeting in downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees. Step, hop, float to the front of your mat. Exhale, release, meet in forward fold. Find those rainbows again for a little wiggle. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, forward fold. Bend your knees, rise up, hands overhead, extended mountain pose. From here, let's build some more heat. Sit down into chair pose. Weights in your heels. You can bring your arms to your heart center as we start out. Find what feels best for you. Might have some shifts here. Sit your bottom down, weight in your heels. You should still be able to see your toes. When you're comfortable, extend your arms and then send them back. Biceps by your ears. Bring your arms back. Lift your arms up and extend behind you. Nice. Inhale, release out of child's pose, standing up tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. So since we are highlighting the Great Dismal Swamp, we have water, but we also have trees. So let's go ahead and become trees ourselves. Hands on your hips, squarely rooted through your left foot to begin with. Lift your right foot now to your ankle, calf, or inner thigh, just not your knee. See what feels best for you. Hands can be at your heart center to help balance. Whenever you're ready, you can extend your hands upward to the sky, extending your branches out. Keep breathing. Of course, you can always go to the wall to help with your balance if that feels good for you. If you fall, if you waver, that's what trees do in the wind. So just pick yourself back up and reroute. All right, shake out that first side. Try again on the next. Ground squarely through your right foot, bringing your left foot again to your calf, ankle, or inner thigh. Make sure your hips are squared forward. Finding your balance, centering through your belly again, just like with those opening child's poses, right? Find our center. You can extend your branches. For more balance challenge, you can look upwards. You can even close your eyes. See where you're at today. See what feels good. Keep breathing. And exhale. Hands come down, shake it out. So nice. Since we're at the wide side of our mat, let's do a wide-legged forward fold. Step out wide, inhale, arms overhead. Hinge forward from your hips with your chest. Have a slight bind behind your back. Your weight is still in the balls of your feet. Hands are bound behind you by clasping your fingers. Release that bind. Let your hands come down in front of you now. Do some slight side lunges. Nothing too deep, but just playing with that lateral motion. Hands are there for support. See as far down you can get in this halfway lift. Exhale, release to forward fold. Heel toe your feet in close together now. And sit down for a yogic squat. Our elbows go on the inside of our legs. Our elbows are going to help open up. Remember, we did our hip openers in the beginning class. This is also a good hip opener. If you have a block, you can feel free to sit on this here. You want to focus on being tall. Your chest is still open. Exhale, plant your palms. Release down. Shuffle your feet together, eventually meeting in forward fold. Bend your knees so deep now, and inhale, rise up one vertebra at a time. For more hip openers and balance combined, we're going to do a standing pigeon pose. So root through your left leg, flex your right foot, cross your right ankle over your right quad. That's a good start. If you want to deepen the stretch, bend into your left leg. Hands can be at heart center. Again, you can use a chair or the wall to help you balance if you like, or try it without. Just like in tree, you can extend your branches or your arms out. Eventually, bringing your hands up, stand up tall, shake it out. Again, the wall's there to help you if you like. Hands on your hips, root through your right foot, left ankle crosses over your right quad now. Make sure to keep your left foot flexed. Bend down into your right knee. You'll feel a nice hip opening sensation on your left outer hip. Inhale here. Stand up tall. Shake it out. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, release, clearing that space. Turn back now to the traditional front of your mat. You're going to just sit back down and with control, lower yourself down. Keep your core engaged as you lower it down onto your back. Hands can extend out overhead. Feet out too. Take one good morning stretch. As we further along, bring your knees into your chest. Gently rock side to side, massaging your lower back here. Breathe in and exhale. All right, extend your right foot out in front. You're going to point and flex your foot, thinking about flow. And there's a middle point here. There's a point, a flex, and then an in-between where you lead with the ball of your foot. Point, flex, lead with the ball of your foot. All right, one more time through. Now we're doing pigeon pose on our back. So cross your right ankle over your left quad. You can keep it here, or if you want to deepen the stretch, reach behind at your hamstring or your shin. You can use your right elbow here too. Make sure your right foot's flexed. You can use your right elbow to help nudge your right leg out more, and that creates a deeper opening in your right hip. Throughout all this, keep breathing. See how much more you can surrender and loosen into this hip opening pose. Inhale here. And exhale, release. Now you're going to lower on towards your left. It's like a pseudo twist. Make sure your right shoulder is down to the floor. Arms can be teed out or cactused out. Your right knee might want to come closer to the ground. You want to extend your right knee and keep it upwards more, feeling a slight stretch in our IT band. Inhale here. And exhale, bring your hands in close, engage your core somewhat, and bring both your legs back to neutral, back to center, and uncross your right leg here. Bring your knees into your chest to reset. Again, with all these poses, see what feels best for you. Only go to the point of stretch, never to pain. With our left leg extended, we're going through our flow of point, flex, and leading with the ball of our foot. Point your foot, flex your foot, lead with the ball of your foot. Point and cross your left foot over. We're going to have our left foot flex to protect our left kneecap here. If this pigeon feels good here, leave it here. If you want a little more stretch, grab behind your right hamstring or your right shin. Making sure your left foot is super flexed to protect your left knee joint. And same thing, you can use your left elbow to encourage your left leg to open up a bit more, feeling that opening in your left hip. Make sure you're breathing. And exhale, release your right foot back down to the mat. Lower now, bringing your left foot down, still keeping your left leg crossed over your right knee. Arms are teed out. Make sure your left knee is still more upward rather than facing down. Option to cactus your arms is always there too. Make sure both shoulders are squarely rooted into the ground. Feeling a nice IT band stretch. Engage your core, bring your knees back to neutral. Uncross your left leg from your right. Hug your knees into your chest here. Rock side to side. All right. Gently now, see how your fingertips almost graze your heels here? You want to pretend like you're holding a block in between your thighs. Lift up for one juicy bridge pose. Let your shoulders come underneath you. Gaze up at your belly button. Push through the heels of your feet, lifting your hips up. And exhale, lower down with control. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bring your knees to your chest. And lower them now to your left side. A traditional twist here. Hips are stacked over each other. Right shoulder is still planted on the ground. You can feel free to look up to the ceiling or look over your right shoulder for a deeper stretch. Bring your knees back to center. Inhale here. Exhale, lower both knees to the right side now. It's natural for that left shoulder to rise up, but when you get more grounded, make sure it's almost like it's glued down to our mat here. Inhale here. Exhale, bring knees back to center. Hug your knees into your chest. We're going to rock side to side gently here. Eventually rolling up our spine. Coming to seated. We have 2 more really juicy hip openers here, so give yourself some space. If you feel like your hips are pretty open, you can always go into a traditional Shavasana now at your leisure, or maybe a child's pose. All right, lower yourself down now carefully onto your belly. Let your forehead rest down. We're coming into half frog. Bring your right knee towards your right elbow. Let your left leg stay straight behind you. Left hip is squared down to the ground. We have a slight opening on our right side. Your knee doesn't need to meet your elbow, but it's coming up there. It's coming up towards it. Breathe in here and exhale. Breathe some opening space into your right hip here. And exhale, extend it back. Bend your left or your right knee, reach behind, or if you have a strap, feel free to use that, and really squeeze your right hip down into the mat, feeling a nice opening in our right quad or the right front of your leg. Gently release your right leg, coming onto your left now. Bring your left knee towards your left elbow, right leg stays extended behind. Doing half frog now on our left side. Keep breathing, allowing our left hip to open gently and in its own time and at its own pace. Extend your left leg back, bend your left knee, bring your heel towards your bottom, reach behind, and push your left hip towards the ground, really opening up through the front of your left leg here and your left quads. Exhale, gently release your left foot down. All right, one more hip opener pose here. Push yourself back up to tabletop. Inhale, bring your right knee towards the front. Let your left leg stay extended behind you. Traditional pigeon pose. Keep your right foot flexed as possible and lower down onto your forearms if that feels good for you, or stay lifted. You can even rest your forehead down. Again, you can use your blocks here to bring the ground up to you. Your right foot does not have to be completely parallel, to the mat. What you want to focus on are your hips still being squared forward. Left foot's extended back. Tuck your left toes under so you can release your right knee from underneath you. Let's do pigeon on the other side now. Bring your left knee in front, right leg extends back. You might have to roll onto one hip to get your foot underneath, and that's fine, but then eventually re-square your hips back down. Lower down to your forearms if you like, or make a fist pillow, or stay lifted. And this is where we're going to end our class today. Keep breathing in and out. Whenever you want to, go back into your traditional Shavasana after this pose. Thank you so much for joining us for Art Inspired Yoga. We hope to see you next time. Take care, everyone.